Okay. So today I would like to introduce myself and share some of my experiences regarding to the health, the way we can look at health and get a better understanding about the underlying causes that has changed my life. When I was 30 years old, I was being told I had about 6 more months to live, and that was quite a shock to my system. At that point of time, I was still living in the Netherlands and I had 5 children. The positive thing about it was, though, that it triggered me in wanting to find some solutions. And in those days, I started to search from maybe there is some other ways I need to start to actually think about life, deal with life. Also related to my diet and things like that. It was only the beginning. So obviously it put me on a very exciting journey, since I am almost 70 years old now and I'm still here, so something must have worked, isn't it? But when you have a curious mind, I have, and I know that many of you would have too, otherwise you wouldn't watch this little video, then you become very interested and inquisitive. Say if you have given a particular label, let me give us an example, you snore. And they say, oh, you're snoring. But when a person snores, what is it telling me nowadays? That that person has a problem with the carbohydrate metabolism. And so, and unless you start to deal with that, then you get caught up into a symptom. And in 2002, when I received an invitation to a very unique training in which I would start to look at pathology and think about health in a different way, basically everything that I had been taught up until that point was being challenged. But it was very exciting too. Suddenly the whole model would move away from just getting sucked into a symptom, like, well, I have an issue with my libido, I have an issue with my snoring, sleep apnea, fibromyalgia, and the list goes on and on and on. These are all symptoms, and those symptoms have an underlying cause. And I was very curious for that, to find out about my own health as well. And slowly but surely it changed my insight. It took me actually about 4 months to get this whole idea about the symptoms out of my brain. And then suddenly, I must say, also with the help from outstanding mentors I have had over the years, but suddenly after 4 months, when a person came in and they had a whole list about, Helena, I have blah, 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 whatever that was, then in my brain it went along the underlying 6 subclinical defects. And it was very, very exciting. And of course I do implement that in my own health as well. It gives me a better understanding from why, what is happening, and then what I can do about it. That is the exciting part of it. It is not for everyone. Just like that I got challenged in my brain because we get set in certain ways to think about certain things, and that's the way how it goes to be. But it's a label, and once we can actually detach from that, so not by denying it, but by acknowledging it, and then become very curious to say, hey, what is the underlying causes? And we can nowadays have the access to very comprehensive pathology, the blood and the urine, and we can do it at this point of time in the United States and in Australia. I do that for myself too. And then suddenly when I start to search for the different combining patterns, it is the one aha after another what starts to come. And then we can take action. Now the other thing that's very important too, and I teach people that as well, I've implemented that in my own life too, is that basically we need to change our internal map of reality. How do we think? How do we perceive it? how do we perceive it? You know, if someone says, this color, I give you a very simple example. If someone tells us, this color is blue, and someone else says, no, it is orange, or whatever it is, the whole bottom line is, whatever you have started to believe over time, that is the first response, what is being triggered off in your brain about how it is supposed to be. Now, and that is for a lot of people quite often very challenging initially to accept. That was it for me too. But once I could accept the fact that we are being influenced actually from the moment we are being conceived, it is not just the genetic imprint from the parents in that regard, but also the emotional imprints. They are being passed on as well, etc., etc. So, and when we can step aside from it and allow ourselves to say, okay, this is a symptom and I acknowledge it, I own it, now I'm going to find out what are the underlying causes, what led me to this particular symptom. And that is exciting. So people who are interested in it, they can actually have a free consultation with me, and I can have a chat with them, and then they can find out if they want to explore things a little bit more in depth or not. That is a choice, and the choice is yours. Just like that it was in my own life, that I made a choice to change it and to start to live my life in a different way, by thinking, by feeling, by investigating, and then taking action. That is it.